Welcome back, June 1st, 2021. Can we not leave the children alone? I mean, must we recruit them to our causes at all costs, including their childhood, never mind their mental and social development? From the Federalist, item: an exclusive New York City high school hired an educator to teach students about pornography, and it did not go over well with parents. Columbia Grammar and Prep on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, an institution whose price tag of about $47,000, held a sexuality workshop for students in the junior class. Parents were not made aware of the training, and students were misinformed about the explicit content. One student told the New York Post he thought it was, quote, just going to be about condoms or birth control, close quote. On the contrary, the training was actually called, quote, pornography literacy, an intersectional focus on mainstream porn, close quote. It was taught by Justine Eng Fonte, the director of health and wellness at the Dalton School nearby. Hold that thought. The training was delivered to 120 students last month, discussing the following topics: 3 big male vulnerabilities, I'm not going to repeat them. I don't feel comfortable having my voice on tape saying the rest of these topics. Perhaps you can not delve too deeply into your imagination to know that they are crude. The students said we were all like, what? Who thought the training was a complete waste of time. Quote, everyone was texting each other. What the hell is this? It's stupid. Why are we watching porn? The worst part of it was that it took place not long before the AP tests, and I had to miss both my AP classes for this, close quote. Sounds to me like the students should be in charge of the teachers here. But before we leave that story, that Dalton school that was mentioned, $55,000 a year, it's in the news today as well, as is Eng Fonte. Item: parents at the posh Dalton School got wind of their first graders being taught sexual education lessons that included masturbation. The Post viewed video from a cartoon Fonte used in one of her classes for 6-year-olds, showing little kids talking about, well, words that we don't really hear on radio. I'm not going to say those either. But it involves all kinds of physical interaction with 6-year-olds. Let me just leave that alone for the time being. Item: a prominent American cereal company has partnered with an LGBTQ advocacy group to create a special cereal packaged in a box encouraging children to choose their own pronouns. Kellogg's, the parent company of brands such as Apple Jacks and Fruit Loops, unveiled its Together with Pride campaign in partnership with the GLAAD organization last week. The campaign, which has adopted the slogan, "Boxes are for cereal, not people," will go until November of this year and rests on the premise that, quote, no matter who you are, who you love, or what your pronouns are, you're too awesome to fit into a box, close quote. Fruit Loops eaters are going to now asking their parents what it means, what pronouns we are. The Michigan-based company noted on its Instagram page that for every box of Together with Pride cereal sold, it will donate $3 to GLAAD. Originally founded as the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD promotes LGBTQ issues in the media now. And GLAAD, just so you know, by the way, is not just about gay rights or LGBTQ as it was originally founded. If you go to the GLAAD page, and you can get all kinds of resources there on changing your child's sex. So they're into that too. Their annual report brags of their work with Kellogg's, sending children and parents to their website of choice to teach children and parents about how children can change their gender. Are you familiar with the children's show Blue's Clues on Nickelodeon? You know it, Bill? Blue's Clues? Good thing you don't. It's a long-running preschool TV show that has been on Nickelodeon Junior since the 90s. Blue's Clues became the highest-rated show for preschoolers on American television and was critical to Nickelodeon's growth. According to Wikipedia, the lyrics of its Pride Month song, which appear to be sung by a cartoon drag queen, include the following. Quote, "This family has two mommies. They love each other so proudly. This family has two daddies. They love each other so proudly. These babies are non-binary. They love each other so proudly." Close quote. Why are we teaching 6-year-olds non-binary as the vocabulary word of their day or year or life? Then, of course, we have all the coursework trying to teach children, preschoolers, and kindergartners about race. Ibram Kendi, who writes, quote, "The only remedy to racist discrimination is anti-racist discrimination. The only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination." He is the, close quote, he is the leading scholar the U.S. Department of Education is using to help the department enshrine critical race theory into our nation's school. As I ask, have we not agitated and tortured our children quite enough? This was the question I was raising earlier in the year, having read there is now a Netflix special aimed at toddlers in preschool, produced by Ibram Kendi. In Kendi's book version of what Netflix is putting together, Anti-Racist Baby, it's titled, toddlers are encouraged to shout, quote, "There's nothing wrong with the people, celebrate our differences, knock down the stack of cultural blocks, confess when being racist, grow to be an anti-racist, believe we shall overcome racism," close quote. Toddlers, 3-year-olds, knock down the stack of cultural blocks. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is why a child would need to be taught anti-racism in the first place. Are children naturally born thinking in terms of race? Or rather, are efforts like this geared toward getting them to think in terms of race? If anyone needs help here, the answer is the second. It's getting children to think in terms of race. As Rogers and Hammerstein instructed years ago, you've got to be taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. You have to be taught to hate. And that's what we're doing, teaching to hate. I learned of this project right after I learned of the BLM curriculum taking place in schools last year. One of the school districts is deploying a 13-point curriculum for its students, no doubt replicated elsewhere. And among those 13 points, quote, "We are committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts and that requires them to mother in private, even as they participate in justice work. Black villages, we are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, and especially our children to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Unapologetically black, we are unapologetically black in our positioning, in affirming that Black Lives Matter. We need not qualify our position." This is middle school. Note in reverse order that last one. We need not qualify our position. No discussion, no debate, no questioning as to if any of this is good pedagogy, much less good political practice or philosophy. It's mandated or coerced. It's an article of faith that must be confessed, and no need to qualify, including, quote, "the disrupting of the Western prescribed nuclear family structure," close quote. Why debate the good or import of a two-parent family? It must be disrupted. Why? And why in the name of Black Lives Mattering does it need to be disrupted? Are less two-parent families a good thing for black lives or any lives in this country? Only if one is a Marxist, divorced from all reality, where the worse things are, the better they are for revolutionary purposes. So what are we doing to our children? From toddlers to teens, from toddlers being instructed in complex race theory to Teen Vogue promoting the virtues of communism to the Cartoon Network promoting the virtues of transgenderism. Plato in his Republic put it this way, quote, "Shall we just carelessly allow children to hear any casual tales which may may be devised by casual persons, and to receive into their minds ideas for the most part the very opposite of those which we should wish them to have when they are grown up? We cannot. Anything received into the mind at that age is likely to become more indelible and unalterable, and therefore it is most important that the tales which the young first hear should be models of virtuous thought. Then will our youth dwell in a land of health, amid fair sights and sounds, and receive the good in everything, and beauty. The affluence of fair works shall flow into the eye and ear like a health-giving breeze from a purer region, and indelibly draw the soul from the earliest years into likeness and sympathy with the beauty of reason. There is no nobler training than that. Now, when you think about that noble training, I think it's worth pointing out that we actually need to be taught that ourselves. I think I know why we need to be instructed in this, and it goes back to Roger Scruton. All the best things we have when abused will cause bad things to happen. You can plant into a child good as much as you can plant into a child bad. You can implant the beauty of reason, and you can implant the ugliness of passion and bad passion. When Allen Ginsberg told Norman Podhoretz, as you heard me say, will get you through your children, he understood conservatives better than we do. Leo Strauss wrote that liberal education is the liberation from vulgarity. The Greeks had a beautiful word for vulgarity. They called it aperokalia, lack of experience in things beautiful. Lack of experience in things beautiful. Liberal education supplies us with experience in things beautiful, he wrote. Is that what we're doing now? Or, as I ask again, are we training in the experience of things ugly? An ugly society can be made here. Let's not forget it. Beauty and things beautiful need to be nurtured. Freedom is such a beautiful thing. So is childhood. Must we end both in the name of someone's version of progress? I should hope not. But that's where we are headed. I'm Seth Leibson. We'll be right back.